Quorum has been met, so we will start the meeting. I apologize for the delay. We're probably about 20 minutes behind schedule. Welcome everyone who's joined us on this virtual meeting. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Smith, Chair of the TCHC Board Governance, Communications and Human Resources Committee. Welcome to the public session of today's committee meeting. In the light of the need for social distancing to limit the spread of COVID-19, we are holding this committee meeting virtually. Let me begin with an acknowledgement that the land each of us is on as we hold this virtual meeting is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Excuse me. During the public session, there are two reports for information, including the standing report on City Council directions requiring board attention and the open meeting requirements report. There is also one report on the committee's approval and comment regarding the 2022 public GCHRC work plan. Members of the committee of the public wanting to depute on any agenda item on today's agenda had the option to do so either by submitting a written deputation or being teleconferenced into today's meeting to orally depute to board members. I believe there is one deputation today. A final deputation summary will be sent to all members the day before the meeting. Are there I think just one item, if that's correct, is it item 3 or item 4?
Mr. Chair, our deputant has asked to speak to item 3.
Okay. So at that point, when we address item 3, we will have him depute. I will now review the consent agenda items and public regular agenda items as listed on the agenda. Those consent agenda items that people see before them. Is there a request for any other business? Hearing none. Would members of the Governance, Communications and Human Resource Committee please indicate any agenda item which they have a conflict of interest, together with the nature of that conflict? Are there any? Hearing none, no conflicts of interest were declared for any agenda item. Approval of the consent agenda items. Are there any items that that anyone wants to hold? Anyone want to hold? If no conflicts have been declared and no items on the consent agenda are held, ask for a motion to approve the public meeting consent agenda items. Is there a motion? I can't see Uba. I can see you, Uba. You move that. Is there a seconder? I don't see anybody else on
I'll
my
second.
screen. Marcel?
Yep.
Marcel, thank you. All those in favor?
Yep.
The motion's carried. So committee will now request that members of the committee express either their approval or opposal of the agenda. We haven't done that. I'm scrolling down here. Oops. Business arising from the minutes. Are there any questions arising for the minutes? I think we do have one with regard to item 3, if that's correct, a deputation. So Dara,
So,
could you invite the person to depute?
yes, Mr. Chair, we've had some technical challenges connecting the deputant to the meeting this morning. So we're going to try a different approach to having the deputant join the meeting. We've provided him with a link to the meeting, and we're inviting him to join the meeting so that he can make his deputation rather than try and coordinate it through the phone system.
Okay, so
what I'm going to suggest.
So we move on to item 4 and then come back to that?
Please.
Okay. So while you're working on the technical, item 4.
So, Mr. Chair, item 4 is a report arising out of an action item request from the committee to engage city clerk staff in consultation with respect to TCHC's compliance with our open meeting requirements. We've had a number of communications with city staff and the clerk's office with the city clerk directly in relation to this item. The discussions are taking place at a time when we are also, in accordance with direction from the city and the board, acting to implement amendments to our board's rules of procedure. And in that context, we've provided city clerk staff with the document that was presented to this committee in May for its advice and consultation. We will continue to engage them in discussions around the changes that we're proposing to our board rules. Because if our rules are consistent with the open meeting requirements, then we think we address the substance of what the committee was concerned about in asking us to engage city staff in that process. So those consultations also are informed by the requirement in the city's shareholder direction, which was amended last year, that any changes to our board's rules of procedures will need to be presented to council for approval in the form of a bylaw. So engaging the city clerk staff in that discussion from our perspective makes sense because we can anticipate that the council will ask clerk staff whether or not they're satisfied with the proposal that we're making with respect to our rules. So we'll continue that process and report back to the board and to this committee as to the progress we make in that regard.
I also want to inform those who may not know, we've reached out to everyone who has made a deputation. I think there's, the numbers, as quite a few people to have input, and we've held a number of focus groups to include their input into the process, and we still have one more to do next week, I believe. And and we're looking for that input from tenants and the public with regards to the aspects related to deputations and how that needs to be included in this process. Are there any questions with regard to item 4? So if I could have a motion to receive item 4, that would be great. Uba or Marcel, thank you. Marcel, will you second that?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion carried. Back to item 3.
And I believe
Which-
that, I believe we have Mr. Avila, the deputant, on the line at this time to make his deputation. Mr. Avila, can you hear us? Mr. Avila?
Still technical
No,
challenge.
I can see he's joined the meeting,
Is he on mute?
but I can't hear him.
I can see it says he's on, he's not on mute, but I can't hear him. Is Miguel? Do you know whether he can hear us?
No, I can't tell from the feedback we're getting in the meeting. While this is frustrating, Mr. Chair, I think that the only option that we may have at this point in time is to hold this matter over till the next meeting of the committee and invite Mr. Avila back to depute to the committee at that time. If we aren't able to resolve the technical issue at this point, I'm not sure how we proceed.
Is it not, sorry, Dara, is it not going to the board?
No, I believe that Mr. Avila sought to depute on the item out of the action item list that was related to the process that we're undertaking to depute with former deputant or to consult with former deputants to the board on changes to the board's rules of procedure. Now that matter is scheduled to be brought to Tenant Services Committee at its meeting on February 9th. So Mr. Avila might have the opportunity to depute at that point in time, but we can also bring that matter. Well, actually, the plan is to bring that matter back here once it's been to Tenant Services Committee. And so it wouldn't be going to the board before then. I
So
can
we'll
try
just-
one.
yeah.
I can
Let's
try
just
one
leave
last-
it on the agenda, and he's able to depute at Tenant Services, and it's coming back anyway, so I think we should just move on.
I'm going to ask one last time, Mr. Avila, are you able to speak so that we can tell if we can hear you or not?
It doesn't appear as if there's a technical problem still. Unfortunate. Also, if he does wish to provide us with anything in writing, we would be glad to consider it in addition to the opportunity of deputing at the Tenant Services Committee. So we'd like to get his input as soon as possible. And also, since he is a deputant, he is welcome to, I think it's Thursday at 7 p.m. Is that correct? Or is it
It's Wednesday at
next
7
week? Wednesday at 7 p.m.
of this week.
So of
Sorry,
this
what's
week.
happening at Wednesday at 7 p.m.?
Well, we've asked all deputants who wish to have input with regards to this. We've had a number of focus groups with deputants, and we've had some really good conversations with those people who've joined us at those meetings. Paula, I was present at all of them. and it's been very good information that we've heard back from tenants and public members with regards to this issue.
So just
So,
on that, have our tenant representatives been invited to any of those, the tenant board members? And were all board members invited, or all members of this committee invited to that Wednesday meeting?
No, this was really, well, it wasn't really a meeting, it was a focus group, really, just trying to get input. I don't think, well, there was any reason not to have, but I mean, I'm sure people could welcome to join it, but at this point, we're going to make a report based on all those comments. Dara has done a preliminary one to date. We'll just add or change whatever comes out of the meeting on Wednesday to that and bring that report back here, I believe. Is that correct, Dara?
That's correct. We'll be bringing it to Tenant Services Committee. We've had 2 focus group discussions already. We have a 3rd scheduled for Wednesday of this week.
Yes, and I'm asking, focus group, you said it was a larger meeting. I just don't know if our tenant board members are interested in this. I'm always interested when it's tenants that they are able to hear directly. Doesn't sound like that happened.
We sent out invites to how many deputants?
I'm not talking about deputants. I'm talking about our board members, Brian.
Yeah, no, I realize that. I just wanted you to be aware that there was significant outreach to deputants to get input, but there's no reason.
I'm not asking for our board members to have input. I'm asking for our board members that happen to be tenants to be part of this process, because it's dealing with tenant deputations when it is dealing with tenant deputations. So I'm a little concerned that didn't happen. But maybe their board member, maybe Uba and Marcel should speak for themselves.
I mean, we can certainly invite you at 7 o'clock this Wednesday. We can certainly include them in those sessions if they wish.
Maybe they should have a briefing as to what went on the others. You can tell I'm a little upset that we've left them out. In fact, I'm a lot upset that they've been left off of this process, because I value their input. They're on our board.
Yes, so we can give them the preliminary report. Dara can share that. I'm sure be glad to talk to Uba and Marcel with regards to that. I mean, the most part, basically, we've been listening, not
I get it,
not the discussion.
I understand that, but I think it's important that they were able to listen. And so that didn't happen. And I'm just registering that. I'm not a tenant board member, but sometimes, as we know from Amanda's letter, people don't feel that they're part of the board or that their role is that important. So I'll leave it up to Uba and Marcel. I'm going to stop.
I actually wouldn't mind attending on Wednesday.
So,
sorry, go ahead, Marcel.
So can send them the link, Dara, and they're welcome. And we can give you an update on the input that we've had from deputants to date.
Thank you, much appreciated. And thank you, Councillor Fletcher.
So
always, Marcel, always.
Since we haven't been able to connect with Miguel, hopefully he can join the Tenant Services Committee. So I'll, at this point, look for a motion to just adjourn the meeting. Is that correct, Dara? We've done everything else.
That's correct.
All those in favor?
In favor.
Okay. Yes. Oh, I guess Uba, if you'd move it and Marcel second it,
yes,
and then I can ask for all people. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello.
Is that?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, but we've just concluded the meeting, and we've already lost one member of the committee. So we'll have to have. I'm afraid we'll have to have you come back to the next meeting.
Or to the tenant
That
services
fair.
committee.
That is not fair, my friend. You have problems with your technical issues this morning, not me.
Well, I appreciate it, Miguel.
Sorry,
Can you join
No,
the
I've been
tenant
doing
service?
this job. I've been doing this since 2010, free to the community. I don't get a penny from this service, my friend. Please allow me to speak.
Well,
So I can be on the record. So I can be on the record.
But the meeting's been adjourned, and we've lost people. But you're welcome. I'm welcome to hear. I'll stay on and listen, but I'm not sure now whether that can be part of the meetings. But I'm glad to hear you, Miguel, and listen to your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, because people from Region Park, they're watching this right now, and they're very attentive to what's happening with the changes. Okay, so right from the get-go, I want to tell you something. When it comes to tenants, we are first, always. We have been hearing from this board and committees that tenants are always first. These changes in policies is moving us tenants to the back of the bus. That is not acceptable, my friends. We have come to these board meetings for free. Through winters, through summers, springs and falls. And we don't get paid for this service, my friends. We come to share our voices so we can change from between the system and a TCHC. So when it comes to this changes in policy, we want to see something much different, my friend. Since I became an activist and speaking out at TCHC board meetings and at City Hall, we have repeatedly tell you to select more members to become tenant directors. There is no equal representation of tenants versus members elected by the City Appointments Committee. So we are in disadvantage. We must have voices from the disabled community, from other communities as well, the BIPOC community. Then we are glad that we have a member from the indigenous community who was on the line by Marcel, but he already left. I think he doesn't want to hear from me, Marcel. Yeah, so sorry, I shouldn't say names on my deputation. How many minutes I have left?
3.
Okay, fantastic.
Marcel's still here, I believe.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, he's there. Oh, thank you, Marcel. I thought you left.
No.
But I'm glad you're listening.
His
I'm glad you are
working.
Okay, so when it comes to the questions, one of the process I would like to see happening when we return back to normal, whenever it's possible, you know, at City Hall, we have a table where deputants are allowed to connect your laptop. You're allowed to make presentations on the overhead, and also to provide the secretary with a PowerPoint presentation. So my question is to you, in order to improve the tenants engagement process experience, can we allow some physical changes at the TCHC board at 981 Young Street, so as the tenants have more flexibility to express how we feel about issues that matter to us via photographs and short videos. So another thing I want to recommend is please, whenever it's possible, can you let us know the tenants? This is a request from my building, by the way. Today we are opening the gyms, I believe, minimum occupancy levels. Our community rooms have been closed since last year. You know, we just talked about mental health on Friday last week, and having a functional gym in operation is good for us to have good body and good mental health. So I would like to see if management can get back to me with the answer. When are you expecting to open up the community rooms so that tenants can enjoy their amenities that is provided gently by the corporation? So another suggestion I would like to see. Oh yeah, by the way, thank you, Mr. Mega, for the invitation to attend tomorrow's meeting, Tuesday, to complete this process of consultation. But again, we lost quorum. So, but anyway, I'm glad that I'm given an opportunity to speak my mind and say the things that need to be said. Please remember, tenants are always first. I got 39 seconds. Again, I had to repeat again. Yeah, tenants are first, not last. Thank you so much for listening to me. And thank you, Marcel.
Thanks, Miguel. I want to apologize for whatever the technical issues were. I mean, but I also want to invite you, as I think you were already hopefully invited on Wednesday at 7 p.m. We are listening to all deputants who would like to have input, and we've had some very good conversations already. And we certainly want to figure out how best to engage tenants and also be able to continue to do the business required that we've been under obligation to do for TCHC, and make sure that everything is working for the tenants and to the corporation to provide the housing that we provide for so many families and individuals. So please join us if you can on Wednesday, and we would look forward to your input. So
yes, Brian, I'm also submitting my deputation to Susan, to the secretary. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for
part
that.
of the red rally. Yeah.
We're looking for ways how to do our business, but with always in mind how to make tenants first. So again, thank you for your patience today, and I look forward to many more discussions with you.
Thank you for showing me respect. Thank you.
I think, unfortunately, we've already had the adjournment, so I'd like to thank everyone and all those who have been watching the discussions. We're continuing to work on the business of TCHC, and appreciate everyone's involvement. Thank you very much, Dara. I think we're able to conclude. We've already had a motion, so we don't need to have any further motions. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.